Hey everyone, it's Retro Looker, and today we are back doing episode 3 of my journey of working into PlayStation. Now, it has been about another week since we have spoken, and a lot has happened personally, and not a lot has happened with the project, because as you can see, I have not done a single thing on this project, which is absolutely terrible, and it's caused me some anxiety about the project. If you remember me talking last time, I said that I wasn't very well and I'd been in hospital. I got to come home, that's when I did the last video. Since then I've been back in hospital. I was getting better, then I didn't get better. This caused some concern, so my blood tests still showed that I had an infection. Even though we were fighting the infection aggressively and it was on its way out, this infection number in the blood test should have come down, and it wasn't, it was going up, which was concerning. My lung capacity also wasn't returning to a normal state as well, it was staying the same, diminished capacity, lost about 15%. This was also concerning. So I got admitted back into hospital, and my doctor said to me, one of two things is happening here. One is you've got fluid in your lungs, which is a complication of pneumonia, so that's likely, and that fluid could be infected, which is why it's not showing up in like regular tests, because it's hard to test. And two, you could have a collapsed lung, which is also not great. So they got me in, and I had an ultrasound on my right lung, which showed I did have fluid on my right lung. It was like a 5 centimeter fluid mass at the bottom of my lung, and it wasn't large enough to warrant draining it. Like if it was bigger, they would have been like, we need to drain that, but it's quite small. Plus they told me it was in an awkward place, so it wasn't worth the high risk of sticking a needle in it to biopsy it so they could test it for infection. It also, it was in a funny place, so they couldn't biopsy it, they couldn't drain it even if they wanted to. So they said, right, we can assume, we know you've got fluid there, we can assume there's an infection because the blood tests show you have an infection. So they've been treating that with tablets, and the 2 tablets that I'm on are specifically targeting this particular infection, and I got to be on this for the next 6 weeks, so that's okay. Like we were already fighting that, but obviously one of the side effects of that is my diminished lung capacity. Secondly, I had a CT scan to see if my lung had collapsed. We're still waiting back on the results from that, but they've said even the fluid will go away on its own. We just have to make sure that there's no infection there, because the infection will wreak havoc while the fluid is going away on its own. So we need to keep on top of that and make sure that is dealt with. But if there is a lung collapse, if there isn't, that's great. And I'm not a medical professional, but I personally believe we're just dealing with the fluid here. Obviously I can feel and breathe and so on. I think we're maybe just dealing with the fluid, but you never know. And they said, like, if there is a lung collapse, unfortunately the treatment is physiotherapy, forced exercise. Like, I've got to forcibly re-inflate it myself, basically, with exertion and forced exercise. So I'm waiting back for the results on that, but I am back home now, and that is good news, because that means I can finally start on this. And like I said, they want to get moving on this. I want to get moving on this. And if they just said, can you make us the PlayStation, I could have had this done already. I could have chipped away at it. I could have even taken it to a hospital with me if I wanted, and just sat whittling away at it in my bed. But they also want some content as well. They want me to film myself making it, which in itself, like, it sounds silly, but I want to look good. Not physically or aesthetically, but like I want to look like I know what I'm doing, and I'm confident, and I'm competent, which I am. But like I don't want to deliver them bad content. I don't want to deliver low quality content or something that, like, my girlfriend helped me. She was great. When I was in hospital, she went into my studio, and when I tried to do a bit of the filming, I tried to do like a before shot, and I'm looking at the content and I'm like, my studio is a mixture of gaming things. So I've got Mario things in there, I've got Nintendo things, I've got PlayStation things, there's an Xbox thing on the side, there's like controllers from different consoles, not to mention as well, like, I have Pokemon tattoos on my hands, so I'm going to have to be wearing black gloves for the entire content, because I have done content with PlayStation before, and they photoshopped out my Pikachu tattoo, and they did a good job, but my hand looked like a chicken breast, which, you know, it was noticeable that, like, what the hell have they done to your hand? And this is going to be a video, so I'm like, oh, you know, I've just made this content, and I've got, like, they're going to pull me up on that, because they can't legally have, like, Mario in the background. So my girlfriend went into the garage and she made me up like a little set of only Last of Us and only PlayStation things on show, which I really appreciate, because I'm not good at that stuff. Like, I'm great at art and so on, but I'm not good at organising things and making them look pretty and aesthetically pleasing. So she did that. She's made me a nice work area that I can film in that looks nice, and I still have access to my brushes and my paints and everything I need. So that is great. I can't wait to get cracking with that. But I thought we'll have a look at the PlayStation in a little more depth. Now, I know we had a look at it last time, but that was just quick, and this whole video is going to be dedicated to that. So, like I said, I quite like the design. It's quite cool. It's smaller, which poses some problems because of the amount of words they want on here. They want The Last of Us Part 2, which is fine, but then they want remastered on there as well. And the issue I'm having is, if I go too small with the wording, the detail on what I can competently carve is going to get lost, and I don't want that. I want it to be, and if I was a different person, I'd 3D print it or whatever, but I don't. I make everything from scratch, and that is, I believe, one of the things that sets me aside from those people, because everything is unique, everything is raw, everything is handmade. So, like I said in the previous video, we have this little concave that I have to work around. And I've got a good idea for that, like, because the top is flat and the front is flat, but there's this tiny little thing, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I think I might bridge the gap just to make it flat. It's one less thing to worry about, because I don't know how well that is going to concave and fold around the edges. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But what I have done yesterday is I ordered a sticker, you know, like a carbon fibre decal for this bit. Just for quick, like, just for ease and just for time, I've ordered a decal for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that as a template to cut out what I need, so the buttons are in the right place and the holes are in the right place and it's the correct width, and I don't have to spend too much time figuring it out myself. So I think that's quite a smart idea. And it didn't cost me a lot either, so I'm happy with that. Another thing that I spoke about the design, this is a steep console here. There's also this little logo here that sticks out I've got to think about, and the disk drive button as well. So rather than go at this with like one piece, I think I'm going to have to like almost like mosaic it and make it up of lots of little pieces, then fill and paint in all the gaps. One of the other concerns I had was this air vent here, and I didn't want to cover that up completely because it does have a job. It's to increase airflow and stuff like that, but the vent doesn't go all the way across. The vent actually only goes from about here to here. This bit here is just plastic. So if I really wanted, I could cover this up, but the majority of the logo runs through this bit anyway, so that would be pointless. So I had to watch some YouTube videos on how to take the thing apart. And it's really quite simple. As nerve-wracking as I was, you literally just pop the sides off. And I can work on that individually on its own. And there's the inside. And like I said, I feel like I'm going to break it. But it's quite a simple, it seems like a simplified version of the big boy, the big PS5. And this is what I'm going to be working on. And I'm going to try and bridge that gap with the logo, but leave the gap around it for the ventilation. I think that's a good idea. I also had a thought about maybe, I'll show you the design in the next video, but I had a thought about like bridging it with like a mesh wire fence. Could put a bit of fake ivy in there or something. Like I said, I don't want to restrict airflow. I don't want it to overheat because that will look bad on me. It will look bad on PlayStation. So yeah, for the most part, and these reattach really easily. You literally just, there's some hooks on the back, and you just slot it back in, pop it back into place. And like, the design, like compared to like the likes of the Xbox X, the design is so user friendly, and it's like it's made to be customized, and I really like that about it. I like the level of, they're not stupid, like they've made this with in mind, and of course they've made it in mind with their own, like the different coloured plates and all that stuff, but it works in my favour as well because I can take these off, I can sculpt onto them, I can make something special that hopefully they really like. And I said to my girlfriend last night, it's like, I'm getting a little concerned now because time is getting on, they're going to start getting impatient, asking where things are. I haven't disclosed that I'm not well because I just want everything to be normal. I want to go back. I doubt I'm going to lose the job, but I'd hate for them to feel like I was unreliable or couldn't stick to a deadline, therefore not wanting to, even if this one went great and they paid me and so on, I wouldn't want for them not to work with me in future based off the back of my performance in this one. I also, like, I physically, I want to do the best job possible. I want them to get it. And I said, it doesn't matter if they like it. This is not a personal thing. This is not going in somebody's house, in somebody's setup. This is for a company who, it has many departments and many people. The guy who I was working with might love it, and his bosses might say it's not what we were expecting. Or vice versa, he might get it and go, man, I don't get it, it's a mess, look at it. And his bosses go, fantastic, it's exactly what we wanted. So yeah, today I'm going to crack on with this. I'm going to take it apart, I'm going to film myself doing so, I'm going to sand up these edges so my materials stick to them, and hopefully just get a bit, like I keep saying, I say the second I get started I'll feel so much better. The second I get going I can just chip away at these little jobs that need doing on it, and I'll just film some content and it'll be done, and like I could probably knock it out quite quickly, drawing times aside. So yeah, so I will talk to you next time, and hopefully I will have something better to show you than a plain PS5 Slim. So I will catch you next time.